We're going to take a look at using slide and divide to factor polynomials with a leading coefficient. Let's talk about some basics first. One way to factor a polynomial with a leading coefficient is to use slide and divide. A leading coefficient is the number that is there with the x squared term. In this polynomial, the leading coefficient is 2. We see 2x squared. Notice that you have a plus sign between the first term and the second term. You also have a plus sign between the second term and the last term. Everything about this polynomial is positive, so we will only see plus signs in the factorization. We're going to factor 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. The leading coefficient is 2. We're going to slide 2 over by the 3 and use it to multiply. This is what it looks like. Add a raised multiplication dot to show multiplication. Because we moved or slid 2 out of its position, we don't use it in the next step. We only need x squared. Bring down the plus 5x and the next plus sign. Then multiply 3 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Now it's easier to factor because it doesn't have a leading coefficient with the x squared term. Draw in your 2 sets of parentheses for the binomials we need. All terms are positive, so we can add our plus signs. Because we know how to use the FOIL method, it helps us to know the first terms in each parentheses. We know that x times x equals x squared. We place those x's in each binomial parentheses, here and here. Next, we need to find the numbers on the right-hand side in each binomial. Write every factor pair for the number 6. The correct two numbers must give you 6 when you multiply them. When you add them, you need to get 5, the coefficient of the middle term. We'll use a table. Our first pair of numbers is 1 and 6. 1 times 6 equals 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. We need the number 5. Those two numbers won't work. Our next two numbers are 2 and 3. 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 plus 3 equals 5. So now we can use the numbers 2 here and 3 here. They're the right numbers to use in this step. When you do the outside and the inside multiplications using the FOIL method, you get the middle term. X times 3 is 3x. 2 times x will give us plus 2x. 3x plus 2x is 5x. That matches our middle term. We know we've done this step correctly. We know our factorization is correct. Let's write it out and we'll do the next step. So we have x plus 2 times x plus 3. Remember that we slid 2 over to multiply by 3. Now we have to use it to divide. Here's what that looks like. We're going to bring 2 down into our problem here. We need to divide both 2 and 3 by 2. Here's how we set that up. We're showing 2 divided by 2 here and 3 divided by 2 here. We know that 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1. It divides and did not create a fraction. So now we can write the final binomial. We have our x plus, and again 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our first binomial is x plus 1. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, or 1 1/2. It doesn't divide to a whole number, so we're going to slide the 2 over and let it become the coefficient for the x term. In our next step, the 3 will stay the same, but we need to slide the 2 over to become the coefficient with the x term. We have 2x plus 3. Here's what that binomial looks like now. Now let's check to see if the factorization is correct. Here is our original polynomial. Here's our factorization that we found using slide and divide. We will use the FOIL method to see if we did the factorization correctly. FOIL again is first, outside, inside, and last. Multiply the first two terms. X times 2x gives us 2x squared. Multiply the outside two terms. X times 3 is 3x, and we write plus 3x. Multiply the inside two terms. 1 times 2x is 2x, we write plus 2x. Multiply the last two terms. 1 times 3 gives us 3, we write plus 3. Bring down the first term. The middle two terms are alike. 3x plus 2x is 5x, and we write plus 5x. Now bring down the last term, the plus 3. This is your final polynomial. It's the same as the polynomial that we were given to find the factorization for, and it checks. The problem was factored correctly.